So when wars start raging across the world and when pollution reaches such epic levels that my students don't understand why these things are happening in the world, I'm forced to give them an explanation that makes sense. And usually I don't have a lot of time to do it. So I tell them, here's how the world works in about 1 minute. Tell me how I do. So in 2008 and in 2012, Barack Obama raised in 2008 $750 million for his electoral campaign. In 2012, he raised over $1 billion, as did Mitt Romney, his opponent. So both politicians together raised over $2 billion, and that doesn't count the politicians who lost during the primaries. So we're talking billions upon billions of dollars in election cycles. Why does this matter? Well, once these politicians get elected, they owe favors to the people who contributed the millions and billions of dollars to their electoral campaigns. So really, the people aren't listened to, the masses aren't listened to, because they're not the ones who are forking over all of the money to get these people elected. So it's like, you do me a favor, then I'll do you a favor once I'm elected. So to understand how the world works, we have to look at which industries are the ones that contribute most to financial campaigns. Now, of course, the most obvious of them all is oil and gas companies, and they are even subsidized by the government. Even though they're the most profitable business in the world, governments give them money to do their work. Another one is banks, pharmaceutical companies, defense, or the war industry. If my job is to create bombs and tanks and guns, and that's how I make my money and feed my family, then it's in my best interest to have wars going on all the time so that I can make more guns, more bombs, and more planes so I can make more money, and so the cycle goes. It's a never-ending cycle. I have a list of the top contributing industries right in front of me here. There's business associations, insurance companies, electrical utilities, oil and gas, obviously, computers and internet, TV, movies and music, securities and investments. There's the education, air transport, and so on. There's even countries that lobby massively the government, such as Israel. Classic case. Why is the U.S. so down with Israel? Why do U.S. presidents and hopeful presidents go and give big speeches to AIPAC, the big Israel political action committee? Well, it's because that those contributions, once the guy gets elected, he owes them favors and he has to do what they wanted him to do. So that's how the world works, and that's why our governments rarely serve the interests of their people over private business interests. The solution, obviously, is to get money out of politics. If you take the money out, if you take that incentive out, then the people who rule our world will do it in the interest of the masses and not a select few. The biggest problem with this lobbying is that often these industries, what they do, what they sell, goes directly against the well-being of the people in the long term. Medicating people ad nauseum with synthetic drugs, or waging wars for no other purpose than to have war, or burning up all of the fossil fuels that exist on Earth is not a good idea, and yet that's what we're doing. Under the pretense that, it's human nature and there's nothing else we can do. Of course there's something else we can do. The game is set up in this way. For them to do that, the politicians have no choice. At least in Canada, there is a limit on election cycles. An election can only last 30 days once the opposition or once the party in power launches the election. It's a 30-day election. So you don't need billions upon billions of dollars. But I clearly remember the day after the election in 2012 in the States, all of their, hack news stations were talking about who will be running in 2016. The 2016 election started literally the next day. Well, obviously it takes billions of dollars. That's how our world works. And let me reiterate once again why this is terrible. Because it goes against the preservation of the earth, because it goes against the equality of all human beings, and therefore goes against the long-term survival of the human race and our beloved precious children.